In this video, I'll show you how to create a warehouse receipt, along with other functionalities of Linbis logistics. To get started, let's go to the warehouse receipt section and add a new entry. We will start by selecting the date and time of the receipt. Next, we will select the division and warehouse facility where the receipt is being processed. Additionally, you can select the receipt type. In this case we will select bonded. Next to the right, we will find the references section. Let's add a shipment order number. And also, using a barcode reader, we will scan the tracking numbers on the received packages. Now we will select the shipper, consignee, and destination agent. We will also select the mode of transportation, origin, and destination. Optionally, you can include the inland carrier name, driver name, and license. Now, let's add some commodities to this warehouse receipt. To do that, we'll click on the Add button and select the type of commodity you will like to add. There are 3 types of commodities you can add: regular commodity, vehicle, and repack. Let's start by adding a regular commodity. A regular commodity can be anything from an actual item to any package. Starting from on the General tab, let's choose an item or SKU from the item definition list, such as PC display. Notice that the application will automatically update any of the commodity properties that have been already specified on the item definition. Like, for example, description, dimensions, and weight. Let's choose the cargo type as box and set the pieces quantity to 1. We will also enter the unit weight so that the total weight can be calculated. Let's suppose that, for purpose of insurance and custom declaration, we will like to keep track of sub-items value. Assuming that this box contains 3 PC displays, we'll specify the quantity of sub-items to be 3, and a unitary value of $500, so that the total value is calculated as $1,500. Notice that even though we have the option to set default values for units of weight and units of measurement at the application settings, we can also change the units right here if necessary. Lastly, we'll specify the location where the commodity will be stored on the warehouse, and we will move into the Reference tab. On the Reference tab you can go ahead enter any references required, such as purchase order, and also tracking numbers. Optionally, we may input the information related to electronic export information, to be submitted later, the automatic export system, EASE. For example, we can search the Schedule B for hand-operated input devices. On the Hazards tab, we can specify the UN number, proper shipping name, and the description, between other properties of the hazard materials being handled. On the Item tab, you will find some information already filled in from the General tab, such as the item number and item description. In addition to that, we have option to specify the item model, serial, invoice, or purchase order number. As well, we have the ability to store the lot number and expiration date of the items. Now we will enter some comments such as, "We are receiving PC parts." Finally, on the Attachments tab we will upload any files associated with these commodities, such as commercial invoices, packing list, or pictures. Let's choose the desired files, and drag them onto the upload surface. After the file are uploaded, we can go back at any time, and review them. Notice that, the files can be filtered by type as need. Now let's click on one of the pictures, and we will be able to browse them all, using the image slider. We can also go ahead, and download any of the attached documents as need. We'll use the checkbox next to the small I, to make the files visible or not on the customers on the information portal. Now, we will quickly add a second commodity. Next, for demonstration purposes, we will do a repack of the previous commodities into a pallet. We'll click on the Add button and select Add Repack. Now let's go ahead and enter the repack information such as container number, and reference 1, reference 2, dimensions, and weight. Next we will move into the Commodity tab. We will choose the desired commodities, and drag them onto the repack surface. After we hit OK, we can notice that the commodities are now repacked. You can verify the content of this repack by opening the repack and going into the Commodities tab. Now we will unpack the commodities back, and delete the repack. We also have the ability to add a commodity of type vehicle. A vehicle commodity has pretty much the same properties as the regular commodities, with an additional tab for storing vehicle information, such as vehicle identification number, year, make, and model. In this case, we can use the VIN decoder option to retrieve the vehicle information based on its VIN. Let's now delete the vehicle commodity. Notice that each of the commodities added have been assigned a barcode number, which will come very handy for labels and barcoding purposes. Also notice that the commodity's status is on hand. At this stage the commodities could also have status pending if a location is not assigned. OK. Let's go now into the charges section, and add an inland freight charge by clicking on the Add button. Let's search for the inland freight using the lookup field. Next, we will fill the information on the Income tab. We will enter the quantity, unit, and rate, so that the income amount is calculated. And, we will also select the bill to customer. Optionally, we can also enter the expenses portion of the inland freight, by applying the same procedure under the Expense tab. Let's add also an additional charge for repack with a flat rate of $75 and hit Save. As we can notice, the total income, expense, and profit is calculated at the button on this section. These charges can be later turned into an invoice and transferred to accounting. Finally, as the last step, we will go and save the warehouse receipt, so that a new receipt number is generated. Then, we'll print the warehouse receipt form. And lastly, the labels. As we can see, one label will be generated for each of the received pieces. Each label contains a barcode number that can be used later on for inventory release and shipping verification purposes. And that's it. In this video, I showed you how to create a warehouse receipt. We have completed the receipt process, and now, there are new commodities on hand on the inventory. Thanks for watching. And thank you for choosing Linbis Logistics.